Rabbi Farkas started off speaking how 23 years ago he came to Waterbury, Connecticut, and the Rosh Yeshiva put his trust and his confidence into 10 budding stars, B'nai Torah, Kol Yingolite, whatever you want to call those 10 original Yingolite that came and agreed to start the community, the campus, the yeshiva, whatever Rabbi Kaufman's dream at that point was to start. You had 10 Kol Yingolite that agreed to join Rabbi Kaufman in that dream. But the dream really did start from the person before those 10 Yingolite, and that is their Shiva, Rabbi Kaufman. I don't know what gets into someone's head to leave their job, move into a desert where there's not even a minion of Shomer Shabbos people to uplift himself and then eventually his family to move to that place, to be away the whole entire week, going home Tuesday nights, to then be harassed Tuesday nights when he goes home, to then sometimes be in yeshiva for Shabbos, but sometimes be home. I don't know what would possess someone to make that decision and to do that. However, I think everyone in this room is forever grateful that Rabbi Kaufman did have that, I don't know what in his head, to decide to. I know I myself, as a bacher 23 years ago in this yeshiva, am forever grateful for their yeshiva for deciding to uproot himself, his family. Yes, eventually it meant us uprooting ourselves, but it wasn't an uprooting. We were going to something, we were joining something, we were becoming part of something that was bigger than just a human being. We were becoming part of Torah. We were becoming part of what it means to be part of Torah, to believe in the Torah, to love Torah, and to love what the Torah does for us when we become one with it. So, with that in mind, I'd like to ask the Rosh Yeshiva to please come up and speak for a few minutes.
I think I'm going to scratch what I was going to say and instead really reply to Rabbi and to Rabbi Farkas on what really happened, the real truth. It wasn't me. It honestly wasn't me. What happened was, let's go back a little bit. In 1991, in May, Rabbi Yaakov Bender wrote an article in the Jewish Observer, and the article was basically talking about that the yeshiva system is exclusively for the chosen, for the elite. And he took the yeshiva system at task for that. And in September 1991, in fact, in September 1991, Rabbi Kalish was in my 12th grade, and that year, there were a lot of letters back and forth to the editor of the Jewish Observer, and Rabbi Bender was defending his position, and he was talking about the Gedolim of yesteryear, how their acceptance policy was based on one thing: if a boy wanted to learn. It made no difference, his acumen, his past, his culture, even his behavior. If a boy wanted to learn, the yeshiva had to open the doors for it. And he said of a story at that time of 3 or 4 boys that left a modern day school in Flatbush, and they wanted to go to Chaim Berlin, to the high school, and really they weren't on the level of learning in many other areas of the Mesivta, a different culture. And Rav Hutner said, if they want to learn, you must take them. Makes no difference. And if parents threaten not to send their children to that yeshiva, so let those parents not send the yeshiva, to the yeshiva. And you have to padlock the door, you'll padlock the door because there'll be nobody in the yeshiva, except for those 3 boys. But if a boy wants to learn in yeshiva and you believe in that boy, you must take him. And Rabbi Bender wrote, at the end of it happened years later, one of those Rebbeim is a preeminent Rebbe in a mainstream yeshiva. At that point, I got a lot of calls. There was an article about you, because I had gone to Yeshiva Flatbush, and I had gone then to Chaim Berlin with a group of boys, and everyone said there was an article written about you, and I said it's not true. I read the article. I know when I got into Chaim Berlin, it was lechatchila. I did great on the Bechina, and I must tell you, I was not a typical boy. I was ADHD galore, and I was wild. I knew no boundaries, and a different culture. Came from modern Orthodox, Kippah Sruga. My friends were different. My goals, my aspirations were different. I was totally immigrant to the Yeshiva Society. I had no opinion about the Yeshiva Society because I never heard of the Yeshiva Society. It's hard to have an opinion about something you don't know about. So I said it wasn't about me, because when I came in there, they embraced me, and I caused trouble. And it was never ever happened that a finger was pointed to me saying that we shouldn't have taken you. I knew better. And I don't believe Rabbi Siegel went to, at that point, to Rav Hutner to ask him what to do. So it's not me. I kept getting the calls. I started to wonder a little bit. So I asked my wife, do you think it's me? And she said, for sure not. I said, how do you know? You're not preeminent. Okay. So I then called Rabbi Bender. And Rabbi Bender said, I asked Rabbi Bender, who was it talking about? He says, you. I said, how do you know? He said, it's a secret in Chaim Berlin that the story happened to you. So I picked myself up and I went to Chaim Siegel, who was alive at the time. And I said, who was the story about? He said, about you. I said, why didn't you ever say something about that? I said, I was a troublemaker. And I caused a lot of issues. And some people didn't want to come to yeshiva because of me and my friends. Why didn't you ever say something? He said, because when I take a boy into the yeshiva, he's lechatchila. It's lechatchila, and whatever you do wrong starts at that point. It's not because of your past, it's not because of your culture, it's not because of who you are. You're lechatchila. And I said, but I always felt the respect. He says, yes. You respected lechatchila, we believe in you lechatchila, and you become part of the culture of Chaim Berlin. I was amazed by the whole thing. And then I said, did you really go to Rav Hutner about it? And he said, yes. And he said that. It made sense to me because earlier, the last 2 years of Rav Hutner's life, I was a talmid of his, and I learned with him b'chavrusa at nights. We spoke a lot about chinuch. But he used to say every once in a while, you know I was following you from 9th grade. And I took it like maybe an exaggeration, whatnot, but I really found out that that was true. Fast forward from 1991 all the way to 1999, I believe it was, and I got a call from Rav Aharon Shechter, the Yeshiva of Chaim Berlin, and we wanted to start a yeshiva to give boys a second chance, to make them lechatchila, boys who might have flowed through other yeshivas or wouldn't have the full respect of another yeshiva. Boys who don't yet believe in themselves, but they can be believed in. Boys that will become excellent in all areas of Yiddishkeit. We want to start such a yeshiva. And he said, we'd like you to run that and create a community. And I basically told the yeshiva, dream on. There's no way I'm doing it. There's no way, I don't believe it could be done, really. And like, what are you bothering me? I said, I have a good job in Yeshiva for Rockaway at the time. I had just opened Yeshiva Kat of Long Island with 2 other people. It was at that point, it was the 3rd year. I said, I'm very busy with that. And I had just opened Our Place, which was a drop-in center for teens at risk. And it was the first drop-in center. And every night I was there, I said, I don't have a second to my life. I said, I'm not doing it. He said, would you consider it? Reconsider? I said, absolutely not. And I went home, I didn't even tell my wife. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a call from Avram Fruchtenler. And Avram said as follows. He says, you owe a debt, because if not for Rav Hutner, Rav Chaim Siegel, you'd still be in Yeshiva Flatbush. There's no reason they should have taken you, except for one reason. You wanted to learn, they believed in you, they respected you, and they invested the entire entity of the yeshiva for you to be able to learn. You can never pay it back. but you can pay it forward. There's something called the transformative power of paying something forward. And the only way to pay it forward is to create a community in the yeshiva that's built on respect, a sense of belonging, a sense of identity, believing in people even when nobody else believes in them, and giving it your all. And there's no way out of that because you owe that. And when you do that, you will see you'll create the next generation of people who will also continue and extend that power to the generation even after that, because it becomes timeless, it becomes enduring. And I hung up the phone on him, and I knew at that point, it's not me, I had no choice. So if you want to talk about the history of Rabbi Farkas of Waterbury, it started 50 years ago. 50 years ago when I was a young teenager, when everything that we do over here, and we continue to do, was implanted at that part. So to the graduates I say, you can never pay it back to your Rebbeim, to the yeshiva, what they have done for you. But you can pay it forward. Take that step. Everything that you learned over here, everything that you became over here from your Menalim, your Rebbeim, and from the yeshiva itself, make a commitment that every kindness, every chesed, every belief in others, every step you make in your lives is there to move it forward to the next generation, and you will see that continuity, and you'll see that godless, and you'll see that eternal effect that you will have on others. Mazel tov.